Hello everyone, welcome to this edition of the Rigolini Report. I'm your host, Chris Rigolini, Director of Bands at the Highlands Ranch High School, and this episode kicks off our Steel Drum Week. We'll get to that in a moment. First, a couple of updates for you. We are still online learning through the end of the school year, so be sure to check your Google Classroom websites because myself and other teachers are posting assignments and updates almost daily. So do make sure that you are checking those. Our mattress fundraiser is going on for another week. If you would like to support us, the Highlands Ranch Performing Arts Department, please log on to frontrangefundraising.com. Make sure that you're typing in Highlands Ranch High School into the memo line when you go to check out so that way we can get your support. Something else I wanted to tell you about, students in my classes, we will be meeting every Monday starting a week from now on Zoom. I will send out the links through Google Classroom. We're going to meet for about 20 minutes on a schedule, and it'll be the same every week. That way we have a time to check in with each other, see what's going on with our families, and also allow me to explain the assignment for the week. I am still trying to post assignments every Monday and have them due by Friday of that week. Email me if you have any questions. Our joke of the day today is, how is a drum solo like a sneeze? You know it's coming, but there's nothing you can do about it. Today's main story is about steel drums, how they're made, and how they work musically. But for this, we're going to need a little bit of a set change. That's better. Our main story today is about steel drums, also known as steel pans. And yes, these are steel drums. These are our personal ones that we have here at the house. This is a lead pan. It's a single drum. And these are double seconds that Mrs. Rigolini plays. We'll get into the details of how they're made in a little bit. First, let's talk about where they come from. Contrary to popular belief, steel drums do not come from the island of Jamaica. They actually come from a smaller island called Trinidad. The man credited with inventing the modern steel drum is named Ellie Minette. He was born in 1927, and he created steel drums when he was still living in Trinidad. After perfecting the modern steel drum, he brought it to the United States in 1967 with the help of the Norrell family. Both the brothers, Andy and Jeff Norrell, are some of the most famous steel drum players and composers and arrangers on the planet today. In 1991, West Virginia University actually hired Ellie Minette to build a shop at the university. He taught classes on how to build steel drums, how to make them, how to compose for them, and how to play them. They're actually the first university to offer degrees in steel drum manufacturing and performance. Only one other university has added a steel drum performance degree to their curriculum. How these drums are made sounds simple in concept, but takes years to master. They're actually made out of 55-gallon oil drums, and the part that we play on is actually the bottom of the oil drum. So we flip it over, we concave the bottom of the drum, and then we add these individual notes to it. My drum actually has 32 different notes on it. As the notes get bigger, it requires more oil drums to create the set for the instrument because the notes take up more surface area on the bottom of the oil drum. As I mentioned earlier, there are different sizes and types of steel drums. We call them different voices, just like you would have voices in a choir or in a chorale of some kind or in an orchestra. We have soprano, alto, and tenor, and bass parts. The soprano voice is the instrument that I play. This is called a lead pan. We have two types of lead pans. We have the invaders, which are usually used in the islands, and we have the spiderweb lead, which is more common here in the United States. My pan is a spiderweb lead. It's based off of the circle of fifths, which is really cool for all of us that are studying the circle of fifths right now. We go around in order with the fifth to the right of the principal note and the fourth to the left of the principal note. As we get closer to the center of the drum, you can see that the octaves get higher until we reach the middle of the drum. Really cool design. It allows all of the harmonics to ring together. So when I play a note on my drum, we're not just hearing the principal note, we're also hearing the octave above it, the fourth, and the fifth. It's all the harmonic series coming together to allow that note to ring and for it to carry the way it does. can hear, the lead pan has a cutting sound. It's meant to be a solo instrument or the melody. Now I'm going to take Rory here, and Mrs. Rigolini is going to show you her double seconds. There are two types of pans that have two drums. There are double seconds and double tenors. The double tenors have a little bit of a higher range. They cover part of our lead pan or our tenor pan, and the double seconds have a little bit of a lower range. They're used normally for counter melody, to play the melody itself, and to do accompaniment parts, or the strum pattern as we call it. Check this out. So that was Mrs. Rigolini's upper range. She would usually use that range when she's playing the melody or the counter melody. Here's the lower range. That lower range is nice and warm. You can hear the harmonics supporting the principal note, which gives it that warm, beautiful texture. Much nicer than the upper range of my instrument, the lead pan. The next instrument down on our list is called the triple guitar or a triple cello. This instrument plays the tenor role. They do what we call mostly the strum pattern, which is kind of like a rhythm guitar in a rock band. They're responsible for the timing and the chord changes of the band. Now sometimes this responsibility is put in the double second and the double tenor as well to build a four-part harmony, like we would do if you were playing piano, say. The next set of instruments down is called the tenor bass. This is really truly a baritone range. They cover some of the range of the bass and some of the range of our tenor voices. They too are responsible for partially the strum pattern as well as some of the bass line, or like we hear in concert marches, let's say, that counter melody that we would hear like in a euphonium part. The last set of instruments is a set of 6 full-length steel drums. That is, the skirt is all the way down the full size of the 55-gallon oil drum. The basses each contain 3 notes, and if you look at the notes, they're built in perfect fits. Some sets of basses include more than 6 drums. They expand the range either into 9 or 12 bass sets. Pretty crazy. Take a listen to this high school steel drum group performing Steel City Jam, written by Tom Miller, who lives right here in Denver. This high school group happens to be our high school group. See if you can recognize one of us in the video.
1 and 2 and 1.
see in that video, it takes all of the sections of the ensemble to bring that piece to life. Each section has a different responsibility, much like the sections of a jazz band or of our concert bands. The front line, as we call it, is made up of our lead pans, our double tenors, and sometimes the double second players. They're responsible for the melody mostly and counter melody, the icing on the cake, if you will. The second line is responsible for the counter melody and part of the strum pattern. That second line is mostly made up of double seconds and double tenors, hence the second line. The back line is made up of our bass players, our cello players, everybody responsible for the bass line and the rhythm. And in the middle, we always put what we call the engine room. This is very similar to a rhythm section in a jazz band. They drive the style, they drive the pulse, they drive the tempo of the piece. They keep us all together. Our engine room that you see in this video is made up of shakers, there's break drums, of course a drum set. Usually we include some conga players, and depending on the style of music, we change out percussion instruments. In this group, our rhythm section also learned how to play steel drums. We rotated through the different sections, so we reversed on all of the instruments. You may have noticed yours truly in the front row. Yes, yes, yes. Don't need to comment below. That is me in high school playing steel drums. Mrs. Rigolini and I both learned how to play in middle school and high school, and we still play today. Kinda cool. Steel drums are used in a variety of different ways. We play them as solo or duet instruments when we play our gigs. They're also used in school groups, like the one that you saw in the video, and in Trinidad, they're used in these large, massive orchestras of up to 100 people called panorama groups. We'll talk about that in a later video. Well, that about wraps it up for today. If you liked what you saw in this video, check out the links in the description below. I linked not only the video that you saw, but a couple of others in there just to kind of pique your interest about steel drums. Remember to contact me through my email, crigolini@dcsdk12.org, if you'd like to submit a joke of the day, or if you have any comments for us on the Rigolini Report. Join us next time when we talk more about the history of the steel drums. Until then, happy practicing!
You play?
You like the steel drums?